We're live. Beautiful. Hello, everyone. I'm Richard Millett, the one and only. And this is Quarantine Stream. This is the 34th one. And now we shall hear the ever lovely, ever beautiful, ever wonderful, ever green Quarantine Stream theme. Beautiful. Hope you're all doing well out there. This is, I did not write this one. This is a poem written by Charles Allison. It is called I Want to Know. We drink or break open our veins solely to know. Hunger drives me onward to feel all of the skin. The thrill of the knowing has me out of my brain. I want to know. Into our eyes, hundreds of flashes cause us to feel the life in the sky. I want to know. We drink or break open our veins solely to know. I want to know. I want to know. Please let me know. I have to know. I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. Called Flowers at the Foot of the Cave. Swinging light bulb above a cracked basement window, a painting depicting the creation of creation, and a makeshift bed. I made up a new name for you that I'll only keep in my head. My head. Look at the jewel resting in the bottom of the wooden cup, or the stack of handwritten sheets explaining the steps of the ritual in rich, deep red, and the names of everyone there exist in my head. My head. Charcoal renderings of saints ripped from a magazine and pinned to the door, dented bits of metal shaped to make a mosaic and pushed into the floor. Quarter-inch thick spray-painted silver ribbons looped like ringlets in the air, and the floating stray white veins from a feather landing on your hair. Here I sit half childish, with freshly washed clothes strewn over the chair. A tray with orange peels, melon rinds, and empty glasses rests balanced on the table's edge, while I'm reading a map leading to a room more colorful than the womb, where I can overhear things other than gurgling and organs rushing. But still, this will always be in its infancy, because love is where Genesis greets infinity. And for proof, you can look in my eyes, even though I won't confirm or deny how much of this is true, but I trust that will get worked out by you. I wrote this one when I was, I think, 16 years old. I'm now 43 years old. My girlfriend at the time asked, is it about me? And I said, yeah, maybe. It's called Pool. Your love brings me peace. Your beauty brings me fantasy. Your thoughts bring me reality. Our love so naked and pure, of the dirt, of the clouds. Your strength gives me courage. Your dreams complete mine. Our circle forever revolving. It's called Milky Skies. Excuse me. For 3 weeks I've seen the sky as one color stretched over a muted spectrum, and I've heard tiny handbells clang at irregular intervals. Without forethought, I was in a state of unstable concentration. With my sense of decency tested, I stared at celeste-colored veins and remembered how they were made. I was reminded of the worm, thankful to be placed back in the dirt after suffering a 2-inch gash on its side from careless shoveling. The youngest lady stops weeping and waiting and steps into invisibility, her velvet-lined pockets filled with small wreaths of braided blue stems. While embarrassed at how much she once admired her mother's brooches, she now fully blushes at her wish to own an ocean full of stone. Her friends repeatedly requested questions, only furthers her hesitation, so she leaves a small note of explanation. Life is grossly inelegant in its demands that one must impatiently forget chores performed with red impressions left intact, from knots affixed to ankles and wrists, as if the sores never existed. Shock of copper curls, cerulean halos in his eyes, considers his environment, and with his shoulders pinned back adjusts his balance and stands straight up in his raft. The one idea that has possessed him so vanishes out from his mind, pierces the sea, then its velocity escapes gravity and reaches away past the sky. But he fears no lack of purpose or whether this time has been meaningless. He has total devotion to the base truth of his vocation. His ankles give way and he falls back gently, lands on his hands while some water splashes in. He considers those who would deride his actions and thinks, I don't require any clothes. I'd rather remain naked for everyone. I felt watched when I first voluntarily gave away confidential information, then tried to explain the layout of San Antonio to a stranger who never knew I'd never been there before. And now, as minutes become limitless, any vows I made always sustained me. I felt watched when my thinking was clean and capable of strict reasoning, and I rode along freshly painted runways, left notes on license plates, brambles, and high chairs. And now, as lassitude disintegrates, any vows I made remain unchanged. I felt watched when my legs were bathed in a heat as persistent and unruly as a bat taunting a seal, repeatedly landing on its shoulders and squealing. And now, as fury impassively fades, any vows I made could never break. I felt watched when I attended 10 drawing classes and attempted to finish a full circle freehand without interference between thought and motion. And now that my hands are patient, any vows I made are everything. Here she flies. And now we know if the promises made more than 10 years ago have been kept. Here she flies, with 2 pens, rosary, brass paperweight, earrings, locket, and measurements written out on a business card. Here she flies, gums and hair receded, a miniature brace for a baby, wrapped in grayed, hardened plastic. Here she flies, with an oxygen tank bubbling ceaselessly, a UHF channel on the television showing an old Western silently. Here she flies, while I stand with tentative confirmation, a glass of thickened water, and 3 empty white boxes. Here she flies, with skin like marble over winding staircases, and rooms with seafoam-colored walls and intimidating machinery. Called When I Look. When I look and walls are in the wind, when I see you're unsure how to begin, I promise soon you'll be laughing with friends in open gardens clapping. When you see, you remember every dream. So we find it's simple to forget. So you find that you are very blessed. Through windows at sunset silently, faces meet your eyes, smiling serenely. So you find you remember every dream. And you try imagining all things beyond eyesight, in air, over our celebration, beneath streets unknown, untouched, 40 fathoms deep, too far to reach. When I look and talk to you, I know. When I see, you will never be alone. The mirror reflects a statue, lilac, bush, and bee, and we agreed our feelings create reality. When you see, you remember every dream. In and near, eclipsing, absorbing, transmogrifying wood, water, and sand, pushing till the horizon is vanishing, scraping outer limits, distant and away. This is called Blue-Soaked Scepter. The kink in my neck that runs to my kidneys, distracting me from movies I've long since memorized and repeating quotations I've lived inside of, and I've no desire to rewrite history that doesn't concern me. When what I didn't know already felt familiar, when I saw the inscription on my commemorative plaque had been worn back to smooth silver, when I slipped behind the mist, changed clothes, washed my hands, and shaved, with no light and with no intention of anyone seeing my face for a while, I was willingly walked through a coal-stained city lot and deposited in the back seat of an already running windowless army green car, which was then locked from the outside. Mary! Had I abandoned my practice, committed an indirect affront in my brief absence? My name is Keith. The beggar at my door raised his arm, but soft, while I listened to his parables that had no center. My name is Luke. With an auspicious mistress beside me, I looked at a baby looking out a window at fluttering street signs. My name is Julia. My temper was gentle as I read a sermon called, Are You Here to Celebrate the Death of Death? My name is Giles. I wish that I'd been obscured when my ears were bitten with endearment while I was plainly ignored. My name is Grace. I was observed by 3 people whose accounts proved suggestible and fractured. My name is Abigail. I faced hard construction when I, in truth, spoke forcefully about my forged fingerprints. My name is Morgan. I spent twilight emptied, save for sketching a red tunic on bent paper. My name is Brooke. I was registered in a hotel under an assumed name and made lists of families I pitied. My name is Gabriel. I singed my hair and clothes trying to be recalled. The sky's been motionless for 29 nights. Why couldn't I stay? I was bothered by the way the streetlights hit the trees and reflected off the leaves. I took a knife and short length of rope. 6 hours later, I'm waiting for you to arrive, carrying a scepter and wearing a breastplate with frayed shoulder blades and exhausted eyes. I'm waiting for you to arrive, sitting cross-legged on the sodden deck with wayward souls who were barely seen. I leapt off the ledge and was soon out of haunt as I climbed the concave shores, wondering if I should forage, catch a gudgeon, or eat unbruised fruit that had fallen. The gravelly, guttered soil gave way to encroaching forest, dense with rows of weighted, wet purple limbs that succumbed to gravity and wind. Then abruptly, I was in the center of a champaign, and the only objects I found were short rows of tree stumps and stones, each carved with the query, "What made you look here?" I jaunced away into the odd even, and I was again pursued by the thicket's reach. The thorns licked my calves, the anthill shone like pebbled glass. I brushed past a frog with a violet tongue and discolored teeth, who gulped for relief while his body remained static like a splayed thread in aspic. I made my way into the antres and found myself prating, "Prithee, pray tell what you remember of working your hands into the mud and feeling a curl under your fingernails." It feels like a relic reunited with its original setting after having been figured lost or only seen in a dream. Betimes I glanced around for the traveling lamp while standing beside the curvature, hearing myself call the datelessly abandoned wizards and leasing and be faithfully young-eyed. I returned once more to the champagne and sat among the stones in silence. I received no visions or visitations, no inspiration to invent an incantation, and in this vacuum of communication, I only experienced the sense or perchance suggestion of the imposing press of eras and atmosphere. And now I noticed this restless weather, shy beams of sunlight moving sideways through the strings of remaining rain. How you guys doing out there? Any requests? I don't think we're taking requests tonight, actually. It's not that kind of night. Perhaps next time. Oh, come on now. This is being silly. It's called Day. It's written in 2002. The house was empty, nothing to be done. I tried but couldn't remember ever being 3 feet, filling space. But I'm looking on the mist and sun, and the day looks beautiful. I'll stare at the backyard and drink some water and feel the heat break over my face. Today is another chance. I'll let it sit right next to me. Birds land on the lawn and crawl over the rocks. The only sound I hear is the breeze pushing the leaves away and the glider moving back and forth. I think today is going to be beautiful, seeing the mist off the sun. I'll roll my head on my shoulders and wait for night to fall. Many years ago, I wrote a poem called White Apple, and a few years after that, I wrote more for it. So this is split out over a couple different books. If you're at all interested, those 2 books would be Statements, Anti-Statements, and This Is What Freedom Looks Like. This is the entire White Apple saga. The audience glares. The audience is alone. Projected onto the cities, moving mouths, upside down, silent cement, struggles for breath, lets the water run, walks with a stilted, failing gait. The water runs in the documentary, behind the page, a lesson in taking what you need, wanting to know, so bad, so thirsty, so eager for the seed. Roman columns, deep shadows, buttressed arches, fallen collective breach, eyes cast upon the outer circles, eyes cast upon the oval rings over the sea, eyes cast on eternity, eyes cast on maternity. Then across the alley, across the street, he can see the cracks in the statue's feet. He crashed his car against a building, against a lamppost, fluttering fingers ivory, dancing around, darting mercury. The survivalist juts forward, head leering off the shoulders, sees the wet walkways glistening, over-enunciates to nobody listening. His face an impression in plaster, refers to a thought he had earlier, but it's too austere to articulate. He's had too much sugar to hold his hands straight. As the glass carton breaks, he collapses, the cream running parallel over his veins. The audience on stage, the public face encased in a clear plastic capsule with evenly explained rules typed on an eggshell card displayed underneath, each remark catalogued and critiqued, each dismal dismissal a prized antique. Washed clean when the day ran dry, the only dot in the satellite sky, the audience needing permission, needing drink, needing oxygen again, the combination hidden in international waters, the shadow shining on the light. Everything in plain sight secret, a camera on its tripod spinning a circular angle, a code transferred, captured, held by an ascending angel. All are welcome, but come open-handed, without guests or family. You'll enter easy or naked, and your intentions won't be mistaken. Jagged rocks under the rushing river, which lead to the lake. The scene is a remake, a three-point star shape, superimposed with stretching hands, making a cityscape, and cold exhaling, creating hovering clouds. Silent! Take out the sound. I want to hear the rushing, the pounding. I want to hear the happening. After the action, I want to hear the empty air in my ears. I want to hear the flying birds make their calls, hear the echo reverberate off of ancient stone walls. You become naked, with ivory skin, face like an alabaster wedding ring, grow and live in a green-tinted glass tower with marble accents. You know the leftover unhealed scars of the ancients. You can taste the dead Romans in the ground when you eat the cloves of garlic, cold fingers and a clean line of events, little pencil marks leaving a rumor under the map. Lotus position on the floor, side of your head laying in ice water, fresh sage on the bell, and in your pocket a jade pendant of a lantern, match earrings, a lone cigarette, a farthing and a sixpence, a plan to go to the States but not sure what dimes and nickels are worth yet, or where to find Wyoming on a map, but that's a question at best for the solicitor, or a prayer to the lace maker. You have the relics. Word came from the pontiff, an aged tooth now black as onyx. You become naked, with ivory skin, face like an alabaster wedding ring, in a penthouse apartment filled with ferns, studying a blue flame, or the serrated edge of the ancients who built the park that you gaze out at. 6 feet of mud, dug up, placed from the park. Boys and girls, climbing a ladder, preparing a crown that they will wear. If they choose to, they could share. Looking at the Khyber Pass, buying a cart with supplies to last, heat production, carving a chair before the mold hardens, pressing the stones into the floor of the garden, removing spikes from the ocean, twin conversations without a sound, ripple effect, the rings spread over the gown, their bodies, the sun and stars barely touching, beginning of the day, reflection eyes every moment in exchange of an inspired surprise. Boys and girls. My front door, there was a knock. Didn't open up even a tiny crack. I said, "Go the fuck away from here, never come back." But that was an illusion. It always is, isn't it? I know a servant in her master's house. She walks around, head tilted up in arousal and awe. She never plans to come out. She's quiet like a nail in the wall, slides her face down the granite on the fireplace to calm herself after roaming the limestone banquet hall. She is of far greater virtue than those she sold her name to. She never stops speaking in an inaudible hum, turns the ringer off on the phone. She said to me that I could be a great actuary. I said, "Why?" And she replied, "Well, in your soul and out of their cells, you know people can't save themselves." Celeste, plucking out notes. Your voice enters, both leaping the octave up. I never need to find you. I see you everywhere I look. Every flower petal, every blade of grass is another detail of your face, your flesh. You sit at the piano and play simple chords ascending, and as the sustain fades, the tones are slightly bent, but each note you've picked is one of the elements. You're lighting up this room without even realizing it. You write down that I is another. Your electricity. You make me. She asked her, "What do you think of the shower?" She said, "It's beautiful. Warm, warm. Randy Andy's naughty nymph." And she could drink each drop, but she shouldn't say anything is beautiful, because she doesn't know you. She's never seen you, not even a picture. It's true, you make me. It'll take 7 minutes to tell you about how sometimes I feel like a vampire. I take your feelings, your moments, and feel them deeper than you did. Make you think you're insincere, but is that so bad? I don't know. You make me. I run. You've always been free. You're so smart, smarter than I am. Maybe that's what I believe because I've never seen you stop and think. It simply is forwards and you can be in reverse. I think your mind is maybe the most beautiful thing, but then your eyes, I rewrite the list all the time. Heaven's choir is harmonizing for you right now. Can you hear them? Can you feel the reverberations gently hold your body? What they're singing, only about 1 in 30,000 could ever even hope to understand it. Further words fail me. I just want to watch from my window and think about the falling rain, rest my head, and see your grace. I'll be back to you in just a moment. I have to change the subject for a second. The cloud drizzled down today, only followed by the most incredible vacuum of quiet, a right shock of silence, and up from that, after about a paused minute, was the first truly joyful noise we've heard in a while. To us alive on earth, the celeste plucking out notes. Warm, warm. Let's kiss. Let's see. Let's together. You make me. This is good Lord. It's called For You. Wrote this in 2002, didn't put it out until 2009. For you, let's start over. For you, one white cloud you can live inside of. For me, one blue black river I can swim out of. For everyone, one bronze bolt of lightning we can absorb the energy of. This is dedicated to Mira Yontov Zeitlin. It's called Last Night We Saw an Angel. Last night we saw an angel, the most beautiful woman alive. I've never seen anyone more graceful. She conducted every sound in flight. Last night we saw an angel. She tiptoed across our hum. She exercised her will. She made the light move faster from the sun. Last night we saw an angel, the most beautiful woman alive. She stopped the pageant and calmed the lightning in the sky. It's called Water. Water, 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 water. It would be good if motion could evaporate and then solidify into a form we view in flux, or be on course to be boundless and sing of the sea. aiming a voice at the sky. Never again I'd read a tattered sign. My body no longer closed in the folds of dirt and clay, but wind-blown and awake, seeing droplets in rivers become oceans and lakes. The salt darting through the air ends my hunger. It cleans the shore and surprises its permanent structure as the molecules become lighter and smaller. Dance in the water, woman and man. Thou shalt have a boat. Thou shalt save a fish. Thou shalt be steering when the boat comes in. Thou shalt have a vision up in the crow's nest. Dance in the water, woman and man. Dance in the water. Dance for the birds. Dance for the wind. Dance for everyone on land. Thou shalt see the king before the revolt. Thou shalt find a partner, one to love and to hold. Man will be woman and woman will be man. Dance in the water to the perch and to the sand. I once lived on the Salisbury plain. We'd come from Ireland and only ate grain. We changed their battle hymns and substituted our names, and we sang boldly, "We shall rule the waves. Never, 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 ever shall we be slaves." We sailed in the Pacific, fighting equinoctial gales. We felt liberated by the sight of sharks, storms, and whales. We gathered our strength and survived the death of Captain McCahey, for we would have been despised by his ghost if we had ever stopped facing the sea. Now we're outward bound toward the Gulf, to the Indies, and back around. We'll gather gifts wherever we dock, and when we're headed homeward, I'll bring silver galore and a Persian cat and a camel fur, and you won't wear those cast-offs no more. Now haul away the bowline, the ship is rolling. It's a tough life we merchants undergo, and we don't give a damn how hard the winds blow. The sailors gave us a bad name. They let us fall through the weary waves. They throw a hatchet in the floor of their boat, and if it doesn't sink, you'll hear them gloat. But if we ever roar out of order, never again would we see the sea. No more, no more, no more. We sail with a northerly gale to our island home in the county of Cork. Our mainmast sprung, our pitching done, fire in our stomachs, salt water in our lungs. Now haul away the bowline, the ship is rolling. Ocean, ocean, ocean. Endless ocean, endless ocean. I moved where I could see you, away from places I couldn't see through. I threw away my socks and shoes to be waiting at your shore. Endless ocean, endless ocean. My blood has all departed. I stopped the things I'd started. My organs are unguarded. I see your waves get parted by the tide and its rippling mood swings. Endless ocean, endless ocean. You sing so perfectly. I am in love inside the cotton of your warmth. Endless ocean. I'm calm, and now I'm here. Your reflection is so clear. The sky is just a mirror, an imitation of you. Endless ocean, endless ocean. I don't need to talk. I found what I have sought. Into you I will walk. Endless ocean, endless ocean. How we doing out there? Any requests? All right. This is written many years ago. It was written about someone who gave up. I haven't. It's called Philadelphia. I was in Philadelphia waiting for the maid. I glanced out the window down at kids younger than me, looking like I did when I was 16, comparing biographies, completing each other's fragments, exchanging glasses, freezing enzymes on magnets. I stopped by the swimming pool and flicked a few crumbs out of the water. The convention got postponed into a parade. The police misplaced the exit, were unsympathetic to the problems that they had failed to protect. Like a dinosaur shell had fallen and cracked the Liberty Bell, whose continued drone quit cell phones and traffic and didn't cease until a line was cut to the Bryn Mawr bricks lyrics, which had gone unrestored since 1936. And Carrie, you saw the same kids I did. You knew it had come to this. Carrie, hold out your hand. I want to reprint the sponsorship, because what was necessary has now just become arbitrary. I was watching a movie with a chapter of valleys separating the tombs, and art that could be pointed to, and the assertion of dance, because that's when they can't aim at you. And you've been waiting since 1934, sleeping at Hepburn's door while I want to be related to Betty Davis. Carrie, hold out your hand, because I don't want just entertainment. I want some dark victory to grace us. Those kids were rendered wet and recruited with the Tourette's of decade-old Prince, and took every context and ground it dull till there was no place left to articulate yourself through anything other than facts. Carrie, hold out your hand, because the distractions aren't safe. Hold out your hand, because your stage used to be my private place. This is a newer one. It's called You Deserve Nothing. Laughing hands scrape an empty plate, grasping for invisible veins, wearing a sodden jacket with sagging pockets, weary with the weight of wet sand, thinning hair gathered to protect what isn't there, and still laughing to distract from stepping on the ashes of a ticket matted into the tile, laughing, still laughing, to distract from the chiming music boxes that you've forgotten. You leap around on tightropes left slack. You only drink water from your flask. Thinning hair, a cigarette hole burned through your mask. Thinning hair, bruised thumbs playing games of chance, laughing that plays as muted rumbling while you try jumping, rotted wood blocking your path. Laughter that echoes in the vast nothing off your charred promises and wasted hopes. What do you see when you close your eyes? It's called Horse. Let's share the silence while everyone's absent. With the electricity out, it's unknown if the edges can be seen. Thin line. Take off your clothes and find out if you're purple. Supine, time to get reserved by disengaged, dreary people. I'm optimistic enough to whisper in your ear, vanish into the walls, and watch you walk to the chair. Let's share the silence, test the power of my stare and the limits of your willingness, then pretend we're unaware when you stand in front of the mirror and all the stringent reasons why you are really here. I'm clear enough to stand near the back, not against your thigh, to avoid glancing at your eyes. Let's share the silence, ease into your patience, measuring what each instant takes, seconds after the temperature breaks, and staying anxiously awake, while the next 7 minutes are advanced into minute facets, slipping across conjoined elements. I'm open enough to adjust the embryo window, your tight spine, your consent, the tension kept sacrosanct. This is it's pretty old. How are we doing out there? Okay, we're good. All right. This is called it's a very old one. Um, it's called the Happy Cyclopentanoperhydrophenthrene Day of Heavenly Flowers. To remain as I am means to keep you at bay. You're constantly so addictive, like an unseasoned peach. You've got me set off like a phantom dial tone, but you never exactly said what it was you needed for your roving stranger or your love child. You never really specified, and I'm just out of the shower and you still got me coughing up the hairs on my chest, baby. The thousand-leggers are still crawling up the sink, and the Chinese girl is still out of reach, and I'm there sitting drinking tea. You don't have to worry about keeping up appearances, honey. I've seen it before. Your dirty fingernails, your morning breath, your temptation that you're flinging in my night shift face, baby. Yes, the Cobra and shotgun felt good in my hands. They felt like long-lost best friends. I remember a time when I was just stuck in a line trying to buy popcorn for you, baby, and I want to think about everything that's going on, and you want me to be about me, but how can I be about me when you're ghostwriting my autobiography, honey? And I think that I am ready for winter in Siam. And how do you know that this is even about you in the first place, huh, honey? The squad triangle that you like to keep clean is suffocating that feeling that you've got to watch who's coughing near your back, or that they're going to take you away soon. And doesn't it make you want to cringe and reflex your childhood into the ravings of a clown, baby? Talking to me on a ledge, eats your time ashtrays to pinch my jawline, and you don't even take the time to remember what Joan Crawford did to baby Jane, do you, honey? The airless, airy voodoo boy tells me to get me published, but he's still reading books that got me off in 7th grade. Do you understand now, baby? It's me that was wrong for not acting that strong. But if I acted that strong, would you want me to turn into Ted Bundy? Now, would you really want that? Now, would you, honey? You just can't ride on my gypsy queen after you've broken all my guitar strings. But do you think that one doe-eyed glance will make me nostalgic for my mother, honey? Your tears rained on my sweater, and 2 years of Aprils don't make it too easy. But how easy can it be when you still take his phone calls and try and convince me of your fealty? And I thought of that April and wanted to relive its minefield days. But after all, would I or you want to be memorialized in a synthetic Avedon photo anyway, honey? Paying your rent is such a crawl, because living in an ivory tower is so expensive and all, and the upkeep is hell when the landlord's away. And isn't it getting repetitious, honey? You say you want my painting that I did for you in mind. You say you want to know me all over again, but you still pretend that I am what I am not. And you've still got me locked up in your collage, and I don't want to be compared or considered, baby. You better get out while you got time, and you better visit me soon, because now he's mine, and he's still uncircumcised and talking to me as if he's got something valid to say. But dirty linens leads to dirty hands. And why do I have to be telling you this in the first place, honey? And you're seducing me with your eyes, and my consciousness is ready to subside, but you can't find a support group for single-person relationships. Now, can you, honey? I hesitate to say that I'm a good person. I hesitate to say that I care enough to stay. I hesitate to say there's something wrong with you, but neither of us ever cared passionately anyway. This is called Settle. I went to a party and the host asked where my invitation was. I had no thoughts as I looked at the lapels of his white tux. He looked down at me and said, "Richard, it's up to you to decide if you want to get inside." Without a pause, I said, "Of course I want that." And in the center of the circular driveway, the butler and stable boy, both ungroomed, face each other with unbroken smiles and unblinking eyes, each studying the other, not daring to break up the social contract, both hoping their requests are filled. On the spiral staircase, two cousins sitting dressed up as girls, pretending to be sisters, holding a seance only they can see, trying to conjure Milton or Wells out of eternity, writing telepathic lists on possible offerings. In the family crypt, two tabby cats sink their claws into a scrap of silk carried down from the master bedroom, where they've grown bored. They leave their stray threads and torn shreds to blow away. At the bar, the maid and the courier fleetingly forget their responsibilities. Her spiraling locks, the gentle powder of her perfume, make the courier stop what he's whispering in mid-sentence and move closer, the two feeling each other breathing and listening to Sugar Blues beam in from the bandstand. At the service entrance, the plumber and the chef only briefly met, one asking the other to borrow a pen. Then the plumber went to clear the water, and the chef finished the notes for the meal plan. We sat on the cold stone in the rippling dusk, and I pointed to the building across the street that we'd walked past before, and I said, I used to think that everything we built would be demolished if we split. But now, I'm certain that's not true. It's been built, and that exists forever. It's just, now it's a museum instead of a home. She didn't say anything, but I could tell she agreed. How are we doing out there? It's called Radar Grain. I've been living like the whole FBI died in a Kool-Aid mistake. I've been keeping a time bomb in my shoes so I know that my watch is correct. I got a tiger by the tail waiting for it to end tomorrow. I've been up all night burning my bridges, making jokes about ex-friends' fetishes. I won't tell you to hold on or say you don't deserve what you get, and you certainly won't ever see me take the first step. I got a tiger by the tail waiting for it to end tomorrow. I got a floorboard in the garage. I've been overstimulated. I've been sore. I got away alive and sane. I didn't get strangled or stained. I got away alive and sane. This is called Pearls. There'd been a robbery in her apartment. The dentist dabbed at the blood dripping off his drill and said, "That was a lot more than I expected." They had hit Carrie's place while she slept. The cops spent the early hours asking her questions like, did she have any enemies, perhaps somebody in her family? They told her to screen her calls, implored her to invest in some security. Ultimately, the only items of value taken were a few pieces of jewelry. Bankers' boxes were duct taped shut and loaded in the truck, their contents filled with scrap to go and get melted down by guys who didn't care whether it came from an abandoned ironworks or was brass stolen from a Catholic school. Gregory never thought it would come to this. The ranch was facing foreclosure. He'd gotten a wedge of glass jammed into his hand, and his girlfriend had spent $25 she didn't have on an ugly antique horseshoe she hung upside down in the doorway. I should have known when we were standing at your mother's grave that you wouldn't speak any longer. I should have known when we were standing at your mother's grave, walled in a cold fog. Gregory looked down at the 4 inches of stained skin on his left forearm and thought what that symbol had meant to him when he was 18, and then how gutted he felt when he noticed the girl at the bank had the same thing on her ankle. While the detective tried to focus on the negatives from the crime scene, intently scanning for details he might otherwise miss, but he was distractedly irritated by the accidental double exposures and dark splotches of silver salts on his fingertips. I used to walk much quicker and look over my shoulder. Now I no longer worry. I used to walk much quicker, but now I've been absolved of responsibility. There was a beautiful storm last night that disrupted the 90-degree heat and blocked out the 6 p.m. sun. The smell of mud running over the fresh blacktop, icy rain that came like the crest of a wave, cutting short the humidity. My clothes and hair getting drenched, the holes in the soles of my shoes letting the water soak my feet as I walked in circles across the nearly empty lot. Taking a long time, I apologize. This is called I'm Dancing with the Skeleton Key. I'm dancing with the skeleton key pinned under my belt the night after I'd had two simultaneous dreams in ocular split screen, one where a white-tailed fawn galloped to my front door and another where my brother could not sleep. I'm dancing with the skeleton key tied on a twine cord around my neck, remembering when my sister was locked in a minivan and stranded in a parking lot outside of Austin. She kissed the windows and ate the tape in the cassette deck. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in my unopened mouth, tucked behind my wisdom teeth and obscured by my tongue. I have memories that my sister still won't believe, and I miss the 20th century because it all could have been done so much better. I'm dancing with the skeleton key scotch taped to my arm. When I was in school, the vice principal gave himself a heart condition trying to figure out who had stolen from the convenience store and then boasted about it on the blackboard. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in the grotto of a dilapidated Catholic church where the priest once confessed to me that after each funeral he performed, the only way he could raise his spirits was by making uneasy music with the organist. I'm dancing with the skeleton key concealed in an alley while bells chime at midnight near the railroad and kids with no curfew dodge between dashing headlights on their way to play hide and seek in the park. I'm dancing with the skeleton key laid on the floor of a garage while my brother draws out diagrams on poster boards connecting lines from consequences of thoughts to isolated islands of thinking divided by unintended regressions of actions. I'm dancing with the skeleton key while I am safe at home looking at sealed bags of clothes that I stopped wearing years ago while I was running for mayor on an unconfirmed platform of leaking information about the governor. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in an adjacent office because the evidence my brother uncovered just got delivered to the lawyer and he predicts it will make the judge jump and remove any condemnation from his mouth. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in a strip mall that used to be a swimming pool, and before that a man-made hill that covered demilitarized waste trucked over from a Floridian base, and it will still take 100,000 years before any of it reaches its half-life. I'm dancing with the skeleton key clasped tightly in my hand as I watch my sister in the mirror speak sentences using only one word and plant orchids next to power lines in the backyard. Then she dots the driveway with empty jars to accurately measure the rainfall. I'm dancing with the skeleton key in my pocket moving loosely with me. My brother used to cry bitterly to our parents every time he got a ticket, refuting each offense, denying that he did any of it. I'm dancing with the skeleton key, sliding uncomfortably in my shoe, but the nuisance helps give me the presence of mind to always hold up what I was taught, that when the rent is due, it's better to be full and well slept than to just hand over a blank check. I'm dancing with the skeleton key pressed into a book, watching Leaves in the Wind and a novelist at a press conference performing fake sign language, hoping it will get him the attention that he wants for trying to revive the printed word. This is a very old one. This is called May. Get it together, get it yourself. The feelings you had linger for months under the ground, garden life albatross. She bleeds all over me. I say ball and chain in simple words. Idealization, affiliation, detoxification, menstruation. Dirt in the coffin, she's bleeding on the flower stems. Up in the air, salivating tissue. Under the ground, dirt on the nails, bleeding again. Extend a hand in loving help, but maybe you should just kill yourself. Not literally, of course. Haha. I mean, that would just be terrible. You would never say that to somebody. And of course I didn't. That would be terrible. Right? This is about a real person. And this person's name is in the title. This, of course, is Allison with the blue sea and icebergs are.
She's ice cream, and there, she's down the hall. She uses words like everything and all. I can hear her, but I can't make out her features. I know she spends her weekends in a cement cinema making notes. The girl next to her tries to see what she wrote. Allison wonders why the guy in the elevator keeps glancing at her and why the weather keeps jumping between rain and sun. Every 30 minutes, she keeps saying, "Quit asking me questions. I'm the one that's innocent," as people assume that she's joking. Allison wonders, what are the windows thinking on a day where there's a white line down the center of the sky? Her mind cuts back to the guy on the elevator. Quick, look at me, look at you. We are equals. Allison wonders if she can keep hiding while knowing that they're following me. Allison writes, what started as hopes are now just observations, mostly about nature, and being young stops being fascinating once it's done. Allison looks at her bowl of spinach, and her eyes focus down on the details of one leaf, and she quietly speaks. An atheist sees this and can only think of the mud that it grows from. Allison writes, we extend grace out of our own sense of grace, and then smiles because she's not sure if that's something of her own or something that she's half remembering from 2 or 3 incarnations ago. Allison considers why her back and hands are so slippery when she's invisible, and then tells her sister, my tongue is a graffiti sponge. I wonder if I'll have to make love in front of a judge. Allison considers that she's a character who looks and acts exactly like her and then draws a bath with the lights off. Allison invites her guests to walk barefoot while cherries and red confetti float out of her phone. Allison considers emptying cash registers if the security cameras lose power, but what she mostly wants are completely natural segues with no artificial blends. So at that, make thoughts your aim or nerve blaming when all meet with you at your beginnings, but make allowances for their worn out tools and make dreams a trap for fools after they are gone. This is Slow Boat to China. The razor skin fell on the seat. The roof had been gouged out by a key. The exits were guarded. A few numbers written down, all typed out in a foreign language, all the product of inflation. The casino slot machines paid out with surf music in a 20-minute ring. The plumber knocked on the last room of the far wing and was tipped with uneaten meat. I keep trying to leave, but I only get more inside. I made it out of the garage only to be stuck behind a foreigner with $1,000 hubcaps on a $50 car. A girl climbed up the mic and before she got numb, asked them how they could stand the climate. She was from California, never was snowed on, didn't get stopped by trains, 25 miles to 5 miles, then down to 3, ranging from dour to catatonic to irate. Can't tell a building from a train. Everybody drives through though, except for me. I stopped the frame. I took the wrong exit driving into the marching band display and wrote my senator complaining to his face. And he wrote back saying, yes, son, it's about time we did things your way. Everybody's an altar boy looking for a lampshade to make straight some Sunday spending money, a free robe, a thimble out of the river because they got the chance to make their case. Trees grow faster in the city, according to the study. The nutrients depleted my body. No electricity is going to open that door. Ice is slow and not enough to keep my attention. My attention. Everyone acting like an altar boy, dragging their disagreements out into the streets, stopped, slow and coy, using their vestments for sheets. A few quick turns and pleas for a reward, but the holding cell is empty, and I certainly don't choose to open it today. I paid to replace the battery and canceled my appointments. The dentist charged me a late fee, and the neighbor watched his lawn instead of the TV. Here's the moral of the story. I put my dinner in a glass and filled it with water, drank half and left the rest. I threw in some safety pins to see how fast they rust, and after 6 months, there were still no results. This is called Everyone. Too late in the evening, 7:45. That man around the corner lost his ring in a fight. Here comes St. Thomas walking through the door, found himself an auction, bought everything on the floor. I don't wake up too early. I don't cut my face. I don't call any strangers. I don't look for their graves. Everyone gets half of what they want and half of what they don't. Half of what they couldn't and half of what they won't. Pork chops in the kitchen, above the sink there's a light. No milk on the table for the blink of an eye. Up the road is a driveway where they come out paid. They come out smiling, dead cats in their way. Everyone gets half of what they want and half of what they don't. Half of what they couldn't and half of what they won't. Excuse me, Jesus Christ.
This is a very old one. It's called Microwave Blues. Why would you want to burn down your house and pretend that it doesn't exist? The cliche about house and home, and neither one is your own. It's a waste of time to spend your life deconstructing why you're bored and you can't find the beauty in the traffic signs, committing a felony when you find out your belongings have been repossessed. When I heard what was said, I didn't even want a personality. It's even worse than reading Victorian erotica. Scrambled eggs for breakfast and the nonsense front page enough to make a man one step past cynical, or at least weird enough to make his day job seem sensible. Why do you want to burn down your house, even though I've been told that you kiss like a blood clot? There's got to be something at the end of the night to keep you waking up the next morning. The lighted sign of Texaco, the plastic Jesus in the hallway. There's a moral to every story, even if you spend half your time figuring out what it is. An echo of light nearly blind. Somewhere in the back of your hindsight is an inkling of communication that says you want to be in control, and of course there's nothing wrong with that, except if you get in anyone's way. Because you, like me or anyone else, doesn't mind criticism as long as they're being hailed as a genius by some kind of socialite they usually refer to as a friend. We will do two Franciscan Nuns. Chewing mint leaves while crossing the Calumet River, the paper mill's exhaust pipes interrupt the vista. Mules weighted with surge protectors, hairspray and cassettes, a riverboat of morphine-addicted ghosts over there on the left. Two Franciscan nuns wanted to build a hospital, but settled for organizing games of chance. In their hotel rooms, they squeeze out extra acidic orange juice and excommunicate people with unpleasant names from the phone book. Two Franciscan nuns helped decorate an admiral in the pensioner's home after he'd misplaced his uniform. They blessed his pills, kissed his parakeet, and as he slept, gathered sets of his false teeth to sell at the swap meet. A brain with blood and oxygen is better than a fish who talks. What some people see as skin discoloration is in fact the natural pigmentation when viewed from the inside. Some newspapermen have always known this, and indeed, they have nothing at all to hide. This is from a book called The Aluminum Farm. This is, if I can find it. Here we go. This is called Yours Is. We want you to feel comfortable. We want you to feel beautiful. Beautiful. One sunny day. It was all on one sunny day. The crying light I watch reflected in your glasses after Christmas Day, spinning, fixing the broken gate. One sunny day. We want you to feel relaxed. We want you to feel beautiful. On the black lacquer you slept, on the cement you stepped. We threw away your batteries. You painted for us. We couldn't express how beautiful. One sunny day. This is a really old one. This is Belle of the Ball. Really old. I can taste your nicotine in my pillowcases. You're so uncultured in your militant worldliness, with your sculpted forgiveness and theoretical manners. I can see that you're just sawing through flowers. Why you gotta be so immature? You're either flowing down the Ganges or rotting on the A train. I know who you want. I've seen it through your clothes. Yes, it's so hard your neglected sermons whine, but no one ever listens while you sink into the telephone noose. You can't quite act out what I'm seeing. Darling, do you think that I'm that stupid that I'll forever shudder at your cancer and pray for a piece of position inside your dour drywall? You unlocked a hole in my iris, and now you've skipped over the sliver. It's a shame you can't close me up again with your ex-boyfriend paradise and harem of guilt. You don't surprise me when you say you're always lonely.
Your new fling seems like an easy taste, full of pride, bullshit, and plastic compassion. With his wan cheekbones and predictable looseness, he feels like the skin on your back in the winter, and his darting red eyes and unclear aorta, his translucence is getting boring. I can only wish him the worst and hope that it hurts, 'cause I've ripped up the floor in your face, and you've had a resignation of thought, a decline of intellect. You look so old in retrospect. Your caverns no longer soothe me. Your veins are so wrought. Your lips are so black. Your life is a parody of excitement. I can't believe I knew you. But one thing I can say, for all your mood swings, faults, and transgressions, is you make me feel so pure, so calm, so utterly together. All I really have to say is good luck and absolution, because I know that you'd be the only one to believe it. How snotty. My God, what a jerk. Not really. He's okay. Is he? Yes, of course he is. All right. This is Shedding Skins. Bloody neuter on the ringworm dancing with spectral beauty that isolates fleeting flags and flowers from their glorious panderings, only to find they need no bounds to pillage the free-flow love mine boiling on the calluses of their corneas. But you, yes you, know him actually on the second time around, forever never considered why you laugh or what you grunt behind, and nothing is, alas, everything has been unrecovered by the sallow aristocracy implosion, in order when the little girls encased in gender sunshine pull down the dawn and shriek merrily of the conquest of fantasy facts, that which in proven by the powers that appear how, where, or because the lightning rays that is the steel girder stapled to the collective loin nicked off its kerosene shell until the rural timeshare spat mucus from the utter depths of their backwoods soul scenery and trounced upon radiators slashing sharply in the wind in neatly layered sharkskin sweater investments, droning to the click drum madness that haunts the delights of the cupids and raises their swords to obscene full Nancy's that now branching to the stratosphere came near and near to their choice flight of destination, gesticulatingly appointed by the elder Olympus, that no man hath done tread upon, neither conquering nor salivating, the twisted pipeling perpetuating ghostly consequence, leading in for the crescendo that yearns to flee away, perhaps to the gutter, perhaps to the perforation, perhaps to the hostages caged in a womb 36 inches by the only thoughts you can't repress, manifesting suggests that by life and honor the first depths came forth united to the loyalty neither comprehend, instead shaping the wing taught so flagrantly as well known to regard its own high priest as the height and unique daft eccentricity. Oh man, she who curses doth not will the plenitude into sleeping, but only scraping stones from its fingerprints, tangled lewdly in connection and gratification with a floundering spider's web. Now we are going to do white cello. Wonderful. Take the white envelope next to your right hand. Give it to me here. Talk to me. I'm in the open window. I'm not in time, but I've got your watch and I need to learn to play this white cello. Scratch the surface. I'm on the shore with a can of sugar. It's never bitter. I'd really rather be playing, though. I like the white strings and the white bow. That's not her. That's her, was the simplest thing you said today. I'm still reeling with no moments except now. You don't possess any microscope, so instead I will take the telescope. I'm trying to be angelic, which isn't easy after getting desensitized with disappointments every night, eating fresh vegetables but planning You already know, and then you talk me out of it. You don't have a pistol in your waistcoat. Your teeth aren't flecked with flax seeds. My misjudgments are my own, and most are unknown. And just because I'm a pacifist doesn't mean I'll let any motherfucker abuse me. And speaking of myself, notice me! I'm standing next to the tree where the guy crashed the stolen car, then got out and ran for it. And I can behave for over 100 days, and I've squandered my efforts and so much goodwill that I sometimes still need to convince myself that I should try to take lessons to learn how to play it all. But I'm sure that you want me to, and I know what I can do. And with that, we're not missing anything. We're humming songs through the phone. We're midnight movers. We're holy rollers without a religion. No, we're not. And you'll be the guy on the bike in the right lane racing for his life against rush hour traffic in the morning. I know you are, and you know that I care, and I feel like I'm Clark Kent dressed in primary colors, and I just haven't taken off my glasses yet. She said, as long as it's not evil. And I said to her, I cannot be evil, certainly not right now. But it's the rising sun, it's a hard-boiled egg, it's basil, it's a blue charm. I just want to play the white cello. I just want to sit in a circle and think about it some more. So we're going to wrap this up, or are we going to test people's patience? No, I'm thinking out loud. It's warm communication going on here. So that's what I'm talking about. So instead, we're going to change some channels. Quarters, dimes, and nickels, and all Sunday they're supposed to be wearing a blue suit. Go to the slants and cut off your slants. It'll be like a reverse safari where they put lions, cheetahs, and tigers in a truck and drive them around and show them people shopping and walking down the street or pumping gas. It'll be the apex of manifestation. It won't be in the Bible, but it'll be like the Bible. It'll be a suburban safari where some guy named Greg gives you a little pith helmet and plastic binoculars and you wait under his kitchen for the cat to use the litter box. But why does it gotta be white? Never heard from before. Advertising space available. Clean, clear water. And of course, the tastiest tomatoes. Ah, yes. This is called Party of Colors. Her eyes open while she pretends she can feel her fontanelle. She thought she might be post-person or her own cousin. She read the news, fear of law and God and man and God and man and law and God and man and God and man and infinite dynamic loop. She was one image at a time, so she thought that she must be a person, right? She wrote some news, platitudes aren't solutions, and fill space between waves, now I'm new. She was one image at a time, so she thought that she must be a person, right? She wrote some news, platitudes aren't solutions, and fill space between waves. Now I'm new, and she also knew that the feeling of being new was something that she could always circle back around to. This is called Honeybee 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like a coral pink butterfly heading to me. You're looking through your jeweled eyes. I'm waiting for your surprise. A birthday card, an aquarium hung on the wall. A memory swimming around in a vein. Arriving late to hear a favorite song. Flying, flying. Like a honeybee that counts the flap of its wings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keeping everything else alive. Bubbles on the honeycomb coming together in unusually warm weather. Honeybee 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keeping everything else alive. And now, 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 and now. Now then! The present is in the future. History is present. The future is present. The present is present. And history is history. And we see the future pushed to the foreground wonderfully. All three, you and me, as a wise, wonderful, glorious woman said, I hope our future is like flying birds. God bless you, Diane. We love you. The weather is in the sea, gravityless moment, caught and dotted with cherry trees and colored pencils. There is very little in life that matches what I feel when you smile back at what I whisper back at you. We're in the room and out of nowhere, looking at the inlet together in letters and circles, like a slit in the curtain, like a fluttering bird ready to bathe, like an oxidized copper fountain. I want to be with you always, all the time, like a white shirt with a fresh grass stain, like a street light breathing air, like waving from the top of a ladder. You plan all the plans, always, all the time, like a strawberry on the counter, like fingernails washed clean, like a bee being curious of a new flower. You are adorable, always, all the time, like pickled ginger on salmon, like a workbench in the sun, like an invention imagined. We are here with each other, always, all the time, like a cat cornering a grasshopper, like a licked stamp pressed with a thumb, like a rectangle with unbroken corners. You are mine, I am yours. Always. All time. All right, folks. that wraps up another exciting edition of the quarantine stream. We hope that you've enjoyed it. And let us hear the quarantine stream theme one more time, shall we? Beautiful. All right, everyone. By the grace of God, we will be back next week. Until then, don't forget, stay safe. Seriously, for fuck's sake, try to stay safe. Stay smart. And stay free, because you already are. Right? Got that? Yes. All right, everyone. Like I said, by the grace of God, we'll be back next week. Until then, bye. Goodbye. Goodbye.